Okay guys, here we have the C70. Now this is actually after I have done the repair and it was a huge success. There's no more wiggle or jiggle in the LCD screen and it feels really, really nice. I mean, nice for better than before. And the reason why I'm doing this after I've repaired it is because I wanted to give you some pointers, as some of these things I learned on the fly, and honestly, that's not best. You want to take the bottom screws out first, and you want to lay them to your left-hand side on the table. Now, let me actually back this up here. And the way that I do it is I take a screw out from right here, and then I place it right here. Then I take this screw under it, and I place it under it, and so on and so forth. And you kind of map out the screws and you place them exactly as they are. Then I took the bottom plate off and I laid it next to it. Anyways, yeah, Canon, no, Canon, you do suck. This is the best camera I've ever owned. I love this camera. It's a beautiful camera. Canon, you are simply amazing. This camera is special. Also, you suck. So it's, you know, it's a love-hate relationship. But yeah, so once you get this off, you then tilt it up. And I actually had to go through with a long screwdriver. I went through the board in a crack to get to the screw. Now, you can take it off completely, but man, it's really tough. I do recommend if you're in America or a place where Canon will do this for you, let them do it because they're probably gonna have someone who's doing this on the daily and they're gonna do it with absolute skill. But if you're like me and Canon's gonna charge you $500 to put back a loose screw that was their fault in the first place, then yeah, it might be time for you to get your big boy pants on and take this thing apart. It's not as hard as I thought it was gonna be, but do take your time with the JST connectors. Take your time with everything, you know, do not rush it. And I really do recommend you have a workspace like this. If you don't, and tell your wife the kitchen table for the next 3 hours is gonna be my domain. No one shall touch it or breathe upon it. Okay, first you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 screws to take off. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, the bottom should pop off without a problem. Now you want to remove all of these little flaps from covering the holes, and there's 4 screws that you'll have to take off here. I'll show you in a second. There's also a screw in the bottom that you want to take out for the side panel, and this is where I will remind you to definitely organize your screws exactly as you took them out, because some of them have different lengths. So as long as you put them in the same position and label them with like a piece of paper or something, you should be fine. Now it's time to get that leatherette up, and there's going to be 6 screws under that you want to get to. Just make sure you don't touch the sticky side of the leatherette as much as possible, and it will go back on without an issue. On the top, you're going to have 6 screws to remove, 1 on the side and 5 from the cold shoe mount. On the handle side, you're only going to have 3 screws to remove. Hang in there, we're on the home stretch. For the back panel, you only have to remove these 3 screws. Don't forget to remove your battery. Finally, the top should pop right off, but do be mindful of this connector here. I would recommend you remove it, but do so carefully. Next, on the bottom, there's a little connector you want to unplug so that you can get the side panel off. As always, do so with extreme care. At this point in time, I could really hear the screw that had come loose jiggling around, so I gave it a careful shake and it fell out. Shame on you, Canon. Oh, I almost forgot. The last 2 screws are under the top panel right here. Now, with those 2 screws being gone, the front panel can be lifted away ever so slightly to allow the side panel to slip out. But be gentle, because it's a tight fit and there still are a few connectors connected to the side panel. I removed the connectors to the XLR audio jacks, but I left the other 2. because you can position the side plate in such a way to where you can access the 2 screws you need to fix the LCD screen. Grab yourself some Loctite to put on the threads before you screw them back in, and then also some E7000. After you're done re-screwing them in tightly with some Loctite, you can use E7000 on the top to further make sure that the screws don't back out from vibrations. And the final challenge is to plug back in all those connectors and put it back together. Go in reverse order and screw everything back in, and you should be good to go. A quick little note, watch out for this ribbon cable and make sure that it clears when you put the shelves back together. Now the moment of truth, and voila! Some reason the camera reset the date, but at least it's working. And luckily, once I reset the date, my camera settings were as I left them. It was a huge relief seeing everything work as intended as I went through all the checks to make sure all the things like ND filter slider was working. And sure enough, it was working perfectly. Make sure to like the video if this helped you out. This is 33rd Frame, and I'll catch you next time.